The average Canadian is carrying $22,147 in non-mortgage consumer debt right now. That number comes from Equifax Canada's Q2 2025 data. It includes credit card balances, car loans, personal lines of credit, and student debt. It does not include the mortgage, just the consumer debt, $22,147, at the average credit card rate of 20.99%, and assuming most of that balance is on credit cards, that debt is generating approximately $4,650 in interest charges every single year. That's $387 per month leaving your account and building absolutely nothing. And here's what makes this the most important video on this channel. Canadian household debt has reached a record $3.21 trillion. According to Collector HQ's February 2026 tracker using Statistics Canada data, Canada has one of the highest household debt-to-income ratios in the entire G7, at 174.67% as of Q4 2025. For every dollar Canadians earn in after-tax income, they owe $1.74. Consumer proposals, the legal mechanism Canadians use when debt becomes unmanageable, have replaced bankruptcy as the preferred form of debt relief and now outnumber bankruptcies by nearly 4 to 1, according to Wealth North's 2026 household debt analysis. This is not a fringe problem. This is the financial reality of millions of Canadians who are working full-time, paying their bills, and still falling further behind every single month because the interest is growing faster than they can pay it down. If you have debt right now, this video is the plan you've been looking for. A specific, sequenced, mathematically proven 6-step system to eliminate it. Built for Canadian incomes, Canadian interest rates, and Canadian financial tools. Before the plan, let's understand exactly what we're dealing with. Because debt is not one thing. It comes in different forms, different interest rates, and different levels of urgency. Treating them all the same is one of the most common mistakes Canadians make. Here's the breakdown of what Canadians actually owe in 2026, with average balances per holder and current interest rates. The hierarchy is determined by one variable: interest rate. High-rate debt compounds fastest. It is the most urgent. Every dollar of 20.99% credit card debt you carry costs you more than twice what a 9% personal loan costs. Total non-mortgage debt increased 4.3% year-over-year to $673 billion in Q3 2025, driven by a combination of rising average loan sizes and more credit-active consumers. The average non-mortgage balance per consumer reached $27,100, up 2.6% year-over-year, according to TransUnion's Q3 2025 Credit Industry Insights report. And the insolvency data tells the real story of what happens when the debt becomes unmanageable. Consumer proposals now outnumber bankruptcies by nearly 4 to 1 in Canada, meaning more Canadians are seeking formal debt relief than at any previous point. These are not people who made reckless decisions. They are people who got into a compounding debt cycle and couldn't break out. The good news, for most Canadians, the 6-step plan in this video works before it gets to that point. You do not need a consumer proposal if you have a plan and you start today. Your action step: write down every debt you carry right now. The type, the balance, and the interest rate. Put them in order from highest interest rate to lowest. That list, in that order, is the foundation of your debt elimination plan. Here's the part most debt videos skip, and it's the reason most people who try to get out of debt fail within 6 months. It's not the math. The math is straightforward. It's the psychology. Debt creates a cognitive state that makes escaping it harder. Princeton researchers Mullainathan and Shafir documented the bandwidth tax. Financial stress literally reduces cognitive capacity, leading to worse decision-making. People under chronic financial pressure make measurably worse financial decisions, not because they're less intelligent, but because debt anxiety consumes the mental bandwidth needed to plan a way out. And here's the behavioral trap that keeps most Canadians stuck in debt indefinitely: the minimum payment illusion. The minimum payment on a $5,000 credit card balance at 20.99% is approximately $100 to $150 per month. That feels manageable. It doesn't feel like a 30-year sentence. It doesn't feel like $13,000 in total repayment on a $5,000 debt. In Q3 2025, delinquency rates rose across most credit products in Canada, with subprime and near-prime consumers showing the highest stress. The Canadians falling furthest behind are not making zero payments. They're making minimum payments and watching the balance barely move while interest accumulates. There's also the spending habit disconnect. Most Canadians who are in debt are not spending dramatically more than they earn. They're spending slightly more, consistently, over years. A $200 monthly shortfall becomes $2,400 per year, becomes $7,200 over 3 years on the credit card. Each month feels manageable. The cumulative effect is devastating. And the final psychological trap: avoidance. Debt is emotionally painful to look at. So most people don't. They stop opening statements. They stop calculating the total. They pay the minimum and don't think about it until the next statement arrives. The data confirms this pattern. Success rates for debt negotiation with credit card issuers are 30 to 40% for rate reductions of 3 to 5 percentage points, meaning tens of thousands of Canadians could reduce their interest rate with a single phone call and never make it, because they're avoiding the debt, not confronting it. The 6-step plan in this video is specifically designed to work with human psychology, not against it. It starts with the moves that generate momentum, not just the ones that are mathematically optimal. Your action step: open every credit card statement you haven't looked at. Write down the exact balance, exact APR, and exact minimum payment for each one. That act of confronting the numbers, uncomfortable as it is the single most powerful first move in any debt elimination plan. Here's where we get into the mechanics and the debate that every debt expert in Canada has weighed in on. There are 2 proven debt repayment strategies. Both work. The right one for you depends on a combination of mathematics and your own psychology. The Avalanche method: mathematically optimal. List your debts from highest interest rate to lowest. Pay minimum payments on everything. Then throw every extra dollar at the highest rate debt first. When it's gone, roll that payment to the next highest rate. Repeat. The Avalanche method is mathematically faster, typically by 2 to 6 months for debt loads under $30,000, and saves 5 to 15% more in interest compared to the Snowball method. On a $22,147 debt with an average rate of 18%, an extra $300 per month using the Avalanche approach saves approximately $2,000 to $4,000 more in interest than the Snowball method over the repayment period. This is the mathematically correct choice for anyone who can stay disciplined without needing visible quick wins. The Snowball method: psychologically powerful. List your debts from smallest balance to largest. Pay minimum payments on everything. Throw every extra dollar at the smallest balance first, regardless of rate. When the first debt is eliminated, roll that payment to the next smallest balance. The Snowball method sacrifices some interest savings for psychological momentum. Each eliminated debt is a genuine win. A bill that no longer exists. A payment that can now attack the next one. Research consistently shows that the quick wins produced by the snowball method improve adherence, meaning people actually finish the plan instead of abandoning it. For debt loads under $15,000, the interest savings difference between Avalanche and Snowball is often under $200 total, making the psychological advantage of the snowball method worth considering. The honest recommendation? If your highest rate debt also happens to be your smallest balance, start there. You get the mathematical and psychological advantage simultaneously. If your highest rate debt has a large balance and a small debt exists at a slightly lower rate, consider eliminating the small one first for momentum. Then attack the high-rate debt aggressively. The $200 in extra interest is often worth the psychological victory of eliminating a debt entirely. For debt loads between $15,000 and $30,000 with extra payments of $400 to $700 per month, expect 3 to 5 years to full elimination. That timeline is real. It requires sustained discipline, and it is completely achievable with the right system. Your action step: look at your debt list from segment 1. If you're going Avalanche, circle the highest rate. If you're going Snowball, circle the smallest balance. That is your first target. Every extra dollar goes there starting this month. Here it is. The 6-step plan. Sequenced specifically for Canadian interest rates, Canadian debt products, and Canadian psychology. Step 1. Stop the bleeding immediately. Before you can pay down debt, you have to stop adding to it. This means one thing: your monthly spending must not exceed your monthly income, starting this month. If you're in a situation where you're using credit to cover basic expenses, food, utilities, rent, this is a structural problem that requires a structural fix. Track every dollar you spend for 30 days using a free app like Mint or YNAB. Most Canadians discover $300 to $700 per month in spending they can cut without material impact on their quality of life. That found money is your debt repayment ammunition. Step 2. Call your creditors and request rate reductions. Success rates for rate reduction requests with credit card issuers are 30 to 40%, with average reductions of 3 to 5 percentage points. This is a phone call. It costs nothing. It takes 20 minutes. And if it works, on a $5,000 balance, a 4% rate reduction saves approximately $200 per year in interest immediately. Call your highest rate card first. Tell them you've been a customer for X years, you're committed to paying the balance, and you'd like to discuss your interest rate. Ask directly for a reduction. If the first representative says no, ask to speak to a supervisor or call back at a different time. Also ask about balance transfer options. Balance transfer cards offering 0% promotional rates for 12 to 18 months can save thousands in interest if you aggressively pay down balances during the promotional period. The transfer fee is typically 1% to 3%. On $5,000, that's $50 to $150. The interest saving at 20.99% for 12 months is approximately $1,000. The math is clear. Step 3. Build a small emergency fund of $1,000 to $2,000 before aggressive paydown. This step surprises people. You're in debt. Why save? Because without a small cash buffer, every unexpected expense, a car repair, a dental bill, a parking ticket, goes straight back on the credit card. You pay down $500 of debt and then put $600 back on the card next month. The cycle never breaks. $1,000 to $2,000 in a high-interest savings account, EQ Bank or Wealth Simple Cash, at 3.5% to 4.5%. Breaks this cycle. It means small emergencies are handled with cash, not credit. Build this before you begin aggressive debt paydown, and do not touch it for anything but genuine emergencies. Step 4. Choose your method and automate the extra payment. Pick Avalanche or Snowball based on your psychology. Then automate an extra payment above the minimum, even $50, $100, or $200 on the day your paycheck lands. The automation is what makes it work. Willpower is finite. An automatic extra payment is not. For debt loads of $5,000 to $15,000 with $300 to $500 in monthly extra payments, expect 1 to 3 years to debt-free status. That timeline is not comfortable to read. It is completely achievable. Step 5. Consider consolidation if your average rate exceeds 15%. If you have multiple high-rate debts and you qualify for a debt consolidation loan, a single loan that pays off all your credit cards at a lower blended rate, this can accelerate your timeline significantly. Debt consolidation loans in Canada typically run at 8% to 12% interest, replacing 20% to 29% credit card debt. On $22,147 in credit card debt, moving from 20.99% to 10% saves approximately $2,430 per year in interest. That saving directly reduces your payoff timeline. The critical warning: a consolidation loan only works if you stop using the credit cards once they're paid off. Consolidating debt and then running the cards back up is the most common debt consolidation failure mode in Canada. Step 6. The moment the debt hits zero, redirect everything immediately. This is the most important step. The month your last debt is paid off, take the full payment you are making and automate it directly to a TFSA invested in a low-cost S&P 500 ETF. If you were paying $600 per month toward debt, $600 per month at 8% annual return over 20 years is $353,000, tax-free, in a TFSA. The payment doesn't disappear when the debt does. It redirects, and it redirects to a system that builds wealth instead of draining it. Your action step this week: complete steps 1 and 2 immediately. Track your spending for 7 days and call your highest rate creditor to request a rate reduction. Both cost nothing, and both produce immediate results. Here's the part most debt videos never show you, because they stop at debt-free, like that's the destination. It isn't. Debt-free is the launchpad. The average Canadian carrying $22,147 in consumer debt at 20.99% is paying approximately $4,650 per year in interest. That's money that builds nothing. That's $387 per month going straight to a bank. Now imagine that same $387 per month, the interest you were paying, redirected to a TFSA invested in a low-cost S&P 500 ETF the moment your debt hits zero. The $4,650 per year you were paying in interest, invested instead of paid to a bank, becomes $568,000 over 30 years, tax-free, from money that was previously completely wasted. And beyond the investment math, the quality of life impact is real and documented. Only 30.2% of Canadians are completely debt-free, meaning nearly 70% of the country carries some form of debt. The Canadians in that 30% are not just wealthier. They negotiate from a fundamentally different position in every financial transaction. They have options that debt-carrying Canadians don't. They can walk away from a job that isn't working. They can handle emergencies without reaching for a credit card. They qualify for mortgage rates that save them $100,000 to $182,000 over a lifetime. Their credit score sits above 760, in the tier where every financial product costs less. Debt-free is not just about the money. It's about the options money buys you. Your action step: run your own calculation. Take the total interest you paid last year across all your debts. Plug that number into a compound interest calculator at 8% over 30 years. That is the wealth you're building for your bank, instead of for yourself. That number is your motivation. Let's come back to where we started. The average Canadian carries $22,147 in non-mortgage consumer debt. At 20.99%, that's $4,650 in interest every year, $387 per month, building nothing. Here's what the 6-step plan does to that number. Step 1. Track your spending and stop adding to the balance. Step 2. Call your creditors and request rate reductions. 30 to 40% success rate. 20 minutes. Free. Step 3. Build a $1,000 to $2,000 emergency buffer so small expenses don't go back on the card. Step 4. Choose Avalanche or Snowball. Automate the extra payment and never look back. Step 5. Consolidate if your average rate exceeds 15%, and you can qualify for 8% to 12%. Step 6. The moment the debt hits zero, redirect every dollar of that payment to your TFSA. For a $22,147 debt load with $500 per month in extra payments, the timeline to debt-free is approximately 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4 years. On the other side, no interest payments, a credit score moving toward 760 plus, a mortgage that costs $100,000 to $182,000 less over 25 years, and $387 per month redirected from interest to a TFSA, becoming $568,000 over 30 years. Canadian household debt has reached a record $3.21 trillion. Consumer proposals outnumber bankruptcies 4 to 1. The 174.67% debt-to-income ratio is one of the highest in the G7. These are not statistics about bad decisions. They are statistics about a system that was designed to keep you paying, and a plan that was never given to you. Now you have the plan.